You're listening to the Plane Talking UK podcast, the UK-based podcast written by a passenger for anyone. And here are your hosts, Carl Stebbings, Matt Smith and Neville Bounds.
Well, hello and welcome to episode number 230 of the Plane Talking UK podcast. I'm Carl Stebbings, and joining me live here at the Seething Flying Barbecue 2018, it's my co-host Matt Smith.
Why do you always insist on all these other people here and you always insist on coming to me first?
It's to make you multitask.
Right, yeah, thanks for that. Much appreciated.
How are you, Matt?
Living the dream.
Oh,
yeah, I smell a barbecue currently.
I know.
It has to be said.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
At least not covered in barbecue.
No, I was wearing my... although I wasn't wearing the apron you brought
No,
me.
the apron I brought you was much better.
No,
but
it really
we'll cover that later.
It's not appropriate for family viewing.
I know.
Yeah.
So joining us, as always, he's flown in. He's been flown in by a private jet today to join us, along with Mrs. Nev. It's Sir Neville Bounds.
Yes, here we are, and what a great day it is. Lots of people here at Seething. A little bit windy in more ways than one today.
That's because we've fed Al, that's what.
There you are. But yeah, we're looking forward to it today.
Excellent. So sitting just to my right, who's joining us on the panel, on the host panels today, it's he's flown in millions of miles. It's the king of safety and everything to do with safe flying. It's Pilot Pip.
Yay! Hi everyone. Great to be here. What a nice day you've picked for it.
Yeah, it's the only really annoying thing about the UK, isn't it? You plan these things. When we planned this, of course, it was glorious sunshine. It was 34 degrees or something stupid. And we were sort of thinking, oh, what a great idea! Let's have a barbecue.
No,
shall we?
I wasn't being sarcastic.
Oh,
this really is a nice day.
Oh, I was. Lovely.
Very nice.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm sporting my my new hat here. A nice gift from my wife. My wife, where are you, wife? Here he is.
Darling, I'm here. How was it for you?
Lovely.
It's such a shame that I have to dress you every day, isn't it? You know, but there
Nope.
you are. You're sporting it now. You've
can't
got your
take-
new sun hat.
can't take
have
her anywhere.
Have you put your sun cream on, sweetheart?
You're listening to Fashion Tips with Captain Al.
And that voice, as you will all know, he's legendary among podcasts. And
Infamous is a word.
Infamous, yeah. You may have heard his voice on the Plane Safety podcast. No plug at all there. It's Captain Al. How are you, Captain Al?
Yes, I'm very well, thanks. Yeah, the Plane Safety Podcast available on iTunes and all other good formats for your podcast.
And tune in radio, right, Matt?
Yeah, that's correct.
Thank you.
Tune in, Stitcher, and everything. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. It means you can ask Alexa now.
Woo!
Yeah.
No, don't say that. She'll be gone mad at home. So we're going to welcome everyone who's joined us in the live YouTube chat room today. Loads of people in there. We've got, just to start off, really, we've got Captain Jeff's in the chat room. Mike Williams, hello to you, Mike. Richard Adams is also in the chat room. Liz Piper, hello, Auntie Liz, all the way over there in Canada. We've got Tony S. We have got, just scrolling up the list, Neil Lamborn, hello, Neil. We've got Tanya W. is also in the chat room. We have got our main man, Micah, who's joined us in the chat room today. Hello to you, Micah. We have got Pilot Pip. I don't know why he's in the chat room, but he's there. And Armando, he's in the chat room as well.
Our cameraman.
Our cameraman, yeah. He's, Dr. Steph is also in the chat room. Hello to you, Dr. Steph.
So for those people who are in the chat room then, I think it's only fair that we have a little sweepstake. So I think that people in the chat room can guess which minute of the show
Oh no.
is the point where the gazebo takes off under its own power.
No. Well, this is not what we're hoping for. No.
So hello to you all in the chat room. But we also do have with us here at the Flying Barbecue a studio audience. So hello to everyone in the studio audience. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
They're
That
really
was terrible.
They're
So
really enthusiastic,
enthusiastic.
obviously. Yeah, absolutely.
This is not like the 200 at all, is it?
No, they're all sporting their
Honestly.
Hello Mum cards, which I think is nice.
I can go and take the microphone over and interfere with the audience.
Yeah, I
if you
should.
like.
Yeah, absolutely. You're good at that, Al. I should. Yeah.
You got to love the Hello Mum signage.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's followed on from the holiday not so long back, if you remember.
Oh,
But,
Owen's
that
just
happened.
joined us in the chat room.
Hello,
by the way.
Owen.
Yeah.
Hello, Owen. Hope you're doing well.
Yes.
Sure he is.
Yes.
Awesome.
And enjoying Paris.
Yes.
Enjoying-
Yeah, why
yes.
not? Let's go with that.
Yes.
Okay.
So we've got a news-packed show this week. We've also got a very special segment from Nev, a PPE segment, and that's who's that with, Nev?
That's with Glen Towler.
Glen Towler. Okay.
All about his trip to Oshkosh.
Oh, very good, very good. And we've also got a little segment as well from Pip. Pip, you actually managed to send a segment in.
The original PPE. Yes.
Blimey. Personal protective equipment.
Right,
Anyway,
good. Yes.
and we've also, at the end of the show, we've got a very special quiz for everyone who's in the studio audience and those of you in the chat.
Yeah,
and it's
okay.
it's
they're
it's a
all
fun
really
quiz.
excited. You can tell, can't you?
I know,
Yeah,
and hopefully Matt will have the relevant pictures ready to go in the quiz.
I love how confident you are in me. Brilliant. Thanks for that.
So we are going to start the show then, as we do each week, with our rundown of the weekly news from around the world and the UK. So if you're ready, I'll say Nev first because Matt's busy. Are you ready, Nev?
Of course I am, yeah.
And if you're ready, Pip?
Yep.
Al?
Oh yes, born ready.
And Matt?
Yeah, why not? Let's risk it, shall
Let's
we?
go.
Yeah.
So, kicking off this week's first news story, this one's on the airlive.net website, and this was sent in to us by one of our listeners actually via email. I think it was Richard, wasn't it, who sent this in?
No, Tony.
Was it Tony? Tony sent this in.
He's
via
not even.
email.
He's not reading his own show.
I know.
notes,
It's
honestly.
because I've got the news story in front of me, Matt, honestly. Anyway, you're worse than my wife. Anyway, the headline is...
Gemma, I feel sorry for.
I know. The headline is alert to United planes, two United Airlines planes damaged after wings clipped at Chicago O'Hare Airport. So the Federal Aviation Administration said that two United Airlines aircraft were damaged when one plane clipped the wing of another plane on the tarmac at O'Hare International Airport on Wednesday afternoon. Flight 645 was pushing back from gate C30 when it clipped the wing of United Airlines Flight 2746, which was parked at gate C28. And both aircraft sustained wing damage. I don't know whether Matt can put that on the screen there for those of you watching on YouTube. Probably not. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and the United Airlines released a statement saying that prior to its departure from Portland, Oregon, United Flight 645's wingtip came into contact with the wingtip of another aircraft parked at a nearby gate. There were no customers on board the parked aircraft at the time of the incident, but no reported injuries on other aircraft, and were assisting our customers who expect operating the flight to Portland with a different aircraft shortly. My word, that's a mouthful. So the picture on the screen there, Matt might put it up. There's a little bit of a ding there on the scimitar winglets on there. I'm guessing that's probably one of the finer aircraft, the Boeing aircraft of the series of aircraft there. But it's getting a bit popular now, guys. Wing clips and dings at airports and stuff now. I'm guessing that's not a problem you have, Pip, with the massive aircraft that you fly, the Phenom 300.
Well, I could ding the wing as well as anyone else can, I suppose.
As you do.
Al, obviously you fly something slightly larger than the Phenom 300. Is that you obviously don't have this issue at any of the airports you fly in and out of?
No, we do have some tight squeezes from time to time because some of the airports that I operate to are a bit of a sort of a tight affair, but no, I mean, I think one of the problems that some guys have, we don't have it on our aircraft, I'm not quite sure about you, Pip, is that some aircraft you can't see the wingtips from the cockpit, so that gives you an additional challenge. But no, we can see the wingtips on the 320 and the 321, and I can safely say that I've not clipped a wing yet.
Do you think reversing cameras would be a good feature for aircraft, Al?
Reversing cameras,
yeah,
like a little wing mirror or something like that. Well, some of the larger aircraft do have taxi cameras, so that you can see the wingtips and you can see where the wheels are. So, because you have to oversteer large aircraft, so it's handy to see where the centre bogey is and so forth. So yeah, I mean, some aircraft have cameras, but it depends all about size, really, doesn't it?
Can always go around.
And the chat room goes wild. So moving on to the next story, and Matt, if you're ready for the next story, on this one's on airlive. No, hold on, this one's on BBC.
Yeah, absolutely. It's on BBC News. This is Ryanair Tinkerbell thrown off flight at Stansted. So a disruptive ferry, apparently. Is there any reason this was given to me? Disruptive ferry forced delays on a Ryanair flight after armed police were called to remove him from the plane. Tinkerbell and another passenger had caused trouble on the flight due to take off earlier from London Stansted Airport for Krakow. Is it Krakow in Poland?
Krakow.
Krakow, sorry.
It depends where you're from. Krakow or Krakow, both work.
Excellent, I like that. The man dressed as the Peter Pan character and his fellow passenger were given words of advice by Essex Police and booked on a later flight. Ryanair said that it would not tolerate unruly or disruptive behaviour. One passenger on the aeroplane tweeted to say that his flight had not yet taken off because of a man dressed as Tinkerbell. Always nice. Bob the Builder, it says in the headline, he later said armed police had turned up and one officer has adjusted the man's wings. Meanwhile, the man dressed as Bob the Builder has been exceptionally well behaved, he added. A Ryanair spokesman confirmed police removed and detained 2 passengers ahead of this flight from London Stansted to Krakow, who were believed to be disruptive.
So, Carlos, you asked me if I've ever clipped wings. So, have you ever dressed as Tinkerbell?
No, I haven't. I have to say that's not something I do. Only at
Or
weekends.
Bob the Builder?
Yeah,
Yeah, favourite hobby.
probably Bob the Builder would be a favour, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Oh dear.
What about you, Matt? Have you ever dressed as Tinkerbell before?
I've dressed as many a pantomime dame.
I was going to say, actually, yeah, pantomime dame. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nev, something you've.
Yeah, as Mrs. Neves here, I'm not prepared to comment.
Of course,
What
fully
I do at the
understandable.
weekends.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
And Pip, you just dress as.
I'm dressed as Tinkerbell right now.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There's something wrong with the cameras, clearly. Okay. Good. Lovely. Someone move on quick.
So moving on
before-
to the next story.
Reverse me out of this
I
comedy
know.
cul-de-sac.
And the next story, as always, is a BA story for Nev.
Yeah, it's on the businesstraveller.com website, and once again highlights fantastic media inaccuracy.
Oh no.
Loganair is to operate flights between London City Airport and the Isle of Man on behalf of British Airways from next month. The wet lease agreement will take effect from September the 1st, when BA's current contract with Eastern Airways ends. The route will be served by a 50-seater Saab 200 aircraft rather than the 2000, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that must be the
smaller
predecessor to the 340 that went very quiet some years ago.
Do you know that would be a whole lot funnier if I knew what on earth you were all on about?
It's all about size, Matt. All about size.
Oh, it always is. Moving on.
Commenting on the news, Luke Hayho, he's obviously, a bit indifferent about the whole thing. BA's general manager, commercial and customer, said, "We're delighted to enter into a partnership with Loganair. The two companies have had a business relationship for over a quarter of a century."
So did Hey-Ho give Easton the heave-ho?
Oh, I see what we did there. Nice.
Oh, hello.
This stuff's just not thrown together, Well, in fact, it is. But meanwhile, Loganair's managing director said, "We're very much looking forward to expanding our partnership with British Airways through this new arrangement to operate the Isle of Man's flagship service to London City. I'm also pleased that Loganair will continue to support important jobs in the community through the local employment of pilots and cabin crew in the Isle of Man to fly the route." How nice.
So we're great fans on the show, as everyone knows, about the accuracy of stories. So this is another one for your vault, Nev.
Yes, I'm actually. I've used up all the all my E240 VHS cassettes, all the material I've got for it. Yeah.
So we definitely should do a show dedicated to news faux pas.
Media
with
fails.
media
Yeah, I think
fails,
maybe a
yeah.
Christmas special, perhaps. Yeah, that'd be nice. Wouldn't it? Yeah.
So moving on to the next story, and Pip, this one's a bit of a
Oh, I like what you did there. Very good. Leave it running. Pilot wanted for secretive Janet Airlines to fly to Area 51.
Right.
Oh,
Good.
it's nice. It faded out right at the right time. Almost professional. Well done, Carlos.
Almost.
Right, if you've got loads of experience in top secret missions and an affinity for UFOs, then a job opportunity has arrived that may be impossible to pass up. Janet Airlines, yes, you heard that right, Janet Airlines has the unofficial name for the classified fleet of US Air Force, is looking for a pilot to join their secretive ranks at McCarran International Airport in Las Vegas. The planes, which don't carry any company logos and are painted white with a horizontal red band along the side, transport military and contract employees to restricted sites, including the infamous Area 51 and the Tonopah test range in Nevada. They're referred to as Janet because that's the call sign they use while flying over civilian airspace. Al's trying to interfere with me here.
Just for a change.
Yeah. I've lost my place. They're referred to as Janet because that's the call sign they use while they're flying over civilian airspace. It's believed to stand for just another non-existent terminal.
Oh.
A job opening has been posted on the website for the private defence contractor AECOM for a first officer based in Las Vegas. Although it doesn't go into specifics about where they will be flying, the demands for those applying are high. The posting calls for the applicants to have a minimum of 3,000 fixed wing flying hours in the seat with 300 in-seat hours within the last 5 years. The job also says applicants must qualify for and maintain a TS, government security clearance, and associated work location access. I don't know what that means, TS, government security clearance.
Top secret.
Top secrets, that's probably it, Al.
Yeah.
God, he's good,
You've
isn't
got to
he?
go on the course to know these
Good,
acronyms.
yes. Ah, so you know. In January, AECOM also posted a job opportunity for flight attendants. Founded in 1972, the Janet fleet, as of 2015, consisted of 6 Boeing 737-600s, as well as 5 smaller executive turboprops. The CIA only acknowledged the existence of Area 51 back in 2013 thanks to declassified documents. George Washington University's National Security Archive obtained a CIA history of the U-2 spy plane program through a public records request and released it 5 years ago. So there we go. That sounds like a rather groovy job.
So do you fit the bill, then, Pip?
Apart from the
Hours-wise?
top secret clearance.
Yeah, which now that I've told you about, I've got to kill you.
Yeah,
I'm afraid.
unfortunate. But I wouldn't mind being based in Las Vegas for a little while. I could hack that.
What about you, Al? Where's Al? There we go. Al, obviously you're
I've not
half
moved.
asleep. I was expecting you to be that side. You've obviously got millions of hours under your belt. Do you fancy
but I'm
flying
in Boeing, so I'm not interested.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought you might say that. Mind you, it is an old 600 series one, to be fair, so not many people would want to. You're a bit quiet down there, Matt. You're all right.
Busy.
Okay.
I think I prefer to work in a fish and chip shop than fly a Boeing, to be honest.
Oh God, here we go. Okay, so moving on to the next head or the next story. This is on the Moody AV report.com. Blah blah blah. A rather interesting website. Who finds these stories? I don't know.
You.
Okay, yeah. So the UK Civil Aviation Authority calls for crackdown on drunken airline passengers. So the UK Civil Aviation Authority has called for more criminal charges to be brought against disruptive passengers who've been drinking alcohol. The move comes as the authority revealed new figures this week showing it had received more than 200 incident reports about disruptive passengers from UK airlines in 2018, from January to July the 16th. So the 2018 figures are in line with recent years, which have seen over 400 incidents reported since 2016, a sharp increase on the earlier years. The figures have been released amid a debate about the best way to curb drunken behaviour in airports or on aircraft between representative bodies for the duty-free and travel retail industry and non-governmental groups active in reducing alcohol-related incidents across Europe. A key point is whether or not to extend existing UK licence legislation on their side, which would affect all F&B outlets serving alcohol and possibly also impact on duty-free stores. As reported, the ETRC and UK TRF, which are critical of a report this week from the Institute of Alcohol Studies about Disruptive Air Passengers and Air Travel Associations, rejected the study as sensationalised and inaccurate. The CAA's position is that airlines and enforcement agencies should make better use of laws already in place to bring more prosecutions against disruptive passengers. Now, Pip, I'm guessing this isn't an issue you have with your clientele. As
Drunk passengers, not so much. They're allowed to get drunk if they like. Doesn't happen so often. It's more drunk pilots I worry about.
True.
We do have a problem with that.
Al, obviously you fly many passengers around Europe and stuff. I take it you've never had this issue? Drunken, disorderly passengers?
I've had it over the sort of last 10 or so years, very, very occasionally. What I tend to find is that those people who turn up at the gate roaringly drunk don't get on the aeroplane, so they're not of any consequence
And
to
that's
me.
your call?
Well, generally it's the gate staff who will decide, well, you know, you can't stand up, so that you're not passing this point, you don't get £200, etc. You go straight to jail. So it's the ones who get on board that then the cabin crew will come to me and they go, I think this guy's going to be happy drunk, he's just going to go to sleep. Or we're not happy to have them on board, and then we just have them removed. And I've not had to deal with anything for several years, to be honest, but within the industry it is becoming a bigger problem. I think one of the factors is that more and more airports now see what they can get out of passengers before they get to the gate as part of their income stream to support the airport. So you'll find that there are 24-hour bars in airports, and the airports are very keen to get you airside so that you're there for 2 or 3 hours with not a lot to do other than to eat and drink and shop. So we do have people occasionally turning up at the gate drunk, but I think there are certain flights and certain airlines that have had more experience of drunk passengers. The classic one being the night Ibiza flights that from the UK and Germany.
Why is that?
Well, it's the same sort of problems that certain pubs in towns have.
Yeah.
If you have a say for example a late license as a publican, you're going to get that sort of crowd of people who are going to come to you rather than the more sort of bistro type pub where people are generally going there for a pint and the food. So yeah, you do tend to get a lot more disruptive passengers on the Ibiza flights. And in very simple terms, if you're going to sell someone a £20 ticket to go to Ibiza on a Friday night, then you're not exactly screening people on the basis of upbringing and behaviour. In exactly the same way as the pubs who do 6 pints of beer for £2, suffer those sort of problems. So it's just a social problem really, and airports and airlines are no different to any other environment where the public hang out. What the airports could do is they could be a lot more proactive in how they manage the sale of alcohol, and certainly stop telling passengers that they can buy alcohol in the duty free and open it up on board, which has been quite a regular problem at some airports around the world.
Our main man Mike is in the chat room. He's just said about having that these should be a list formed up with names and incidents, and obviously these people would not be allowed on board aircraft. And he said the same list should be put to those as well who evacuate in an emergency whilst carrying their hand luggage.
Well, that's an interesting one. The difficulty with all of these lists is the wholesale management of them. We in Europe are an area that's made up of many different countries, governments with policies and so forth. So managing a central list is very difficult, and is often the case. You change your passport every 10 years, your passport number changes. It's very difficult to fall through the gaps, and people have changed names to avoid being on lists. So it's very difficult to manage. It sounds great, but the reality is that it's a difficult thing to keep track of. I mean, we have a hard enough job in keeping track of people who commit serious crime, let alone instances of turning up drunk on aeroplanes.
So Matt, the next story.
Sorry, I've been remarkably serious there.
Yeah, I know.
It's shocking.
Yeah.
You've rather brought the tone of the show down, Al.
Well, yeah, I'll just fart.
Stand in the corner.
I'll just go and fart or something.
Oh, no. You carry on. You are more than welcome. Yes, no, the next story. Apologies, guys. We're having a little bit of a problem getting news stories, so if you want to put your phone on hotspot, Carlos, that might be a good idea.
Right, yeah.
And anyway,
Next
so
story.
Express is the newspaper, the Daily Express, and the headline is EasyJet passenger removed by armed police after legroom seat argument, which is always nice. So an EasyJet passenger was taken off a plane by armed police officers when flying back to London over a disagreement regarding a book seat with extra legroom. So EasyJet passenger Sam Ramsey Smith, 72, don't know why that's relevant, was removed from a flight by armed police officers. He travelled to Amsterdam from London Gatwick to seek treatment for a medical condition that made it difficult for him to walk easily. Last year he contracted multiple sclerosis, like somebody with a medical background help. Anyway, a multiple sclerosis like illness essentially, and was abroad in an attempt to investigate said rare illness. When returning from Amsterdam, Dr. Smith had paid £27 for a seat with extra legroom due to his injury. When boarding, he discovered his seat had been taken, which was when the disagreement took place. After complaining his front row seat 1E was occupied, he told The Sun, "The captain said, 'I don't like your attitude, you have to get off the plane.'" Police armed with the machine guns then boarded the plane. Dr. Smith told the newspaper, "One said to me, 'Are you going to resist?' I replied, 'Do I look as though I'm capable of resisting?'" He was then taken off the aeroplane by police and forced to take a flight to London the next day. However, the airline has refuted his claims and said that Dr. Smith had become abusive during the altercation. Where are we? So a spokesman said that to The Sun, after changing Dr. Ramsey Smith's flight at his request, we were unable to assign him the same seat he had selected for his original flight. During boarding, he was verbally abusive to the crew over being unable to sit in his seat. The captain tried to resolve the issue by offering 2 other alternative seats, which he rejected. At this point, he physically assaulted the cabin manager, and police were called to escort him off the aircraft. The safety of our passengers and crew is always EasyJet's highest priority, and we cannot tolerate abusive or threatening behaviour towards our crew. Dr. Smith said that he pushed the flight attendant when she stood on my foot as I was in agony. I won't read any more of the story because you get the gist here. I don't know. I mean, I have a small element of sympathy for him because he paid for a seat that essentially he didn't get. But there doesn't seem to be any mention as to why, whether that person, whether they'd sort of sold the seat twice or something, which seems quite unusual.
Yeah, well, I think what happened is that he made his booking and he chose an extra legroom seat at the time. Then from what I understand, and I don't have the story exactly in front of me, he then changed his flight booking.
Right.
So if he changed onto a flight where there were no extra legroom seats, then he may well have thought that he still had that seat. I mean, I'm not being rude to the gentleman, but he is in his 70s, and you know, as we get older, we get a little bit more confused. And we, you know, certainly even at my age, I get confused. So what you've had, I think, here is one of those sets of circumstances where he's changed his flight, he's lost his extra legroom seat, he still thought he had it, he pitched up.
The wind's getting up, everyone. Brace yourselves.
That was the bargee.
Right. Okay.
And so he's pitched up for his rearranged flight, and he's not got the extra legroom seat that he thought he had. Someone sat in it. Okay, fair enough. And I think what has happened there is that he's got a bit agitated, been a bit stroppy. They've tried to calm him down. He's not had any of it, and he's crossed over the line. And let's be honest, it is much more difficult as the captain of the aeroplane to have someone removed from the aeroplane than it is to just get someone to sort of pipe down. It causes a lot more hassle to have people removed. So from the EasyJet perspective, I'm sure that they did what they could to alleviate the situation. But if he behaved a little bit stroppily, then they're obviously going to form the opinion that, you know, he's representing a risk to the flight, and they will have him removed. The fact that the police turned up with machine guns, while to some...
That's standard, though.
That is standard in the airport. Most of the large airports in the UK have armed police. You know, they don't, you know, carry around pea shooters. You know, they are equipped to do a job if necessary, and it happens to be machine guns. That's just their normal kit. So that might be slightly perturbing to some people, but that is the standard makeup of the airport police.
One could argue it's a good way of ensuring people comply, though. I mean, I don't know many people who would argue with a man wielding a machine gun.
Well, I have seen it. It was quite entertaining, and when they finished tasering him, he was quite apologetic.
Right. Okay. Yeah. He's lucky he wasn't shot at, I think.
Well, I think that the police use the machine guns as a last resort, really. I mean, there's a bit of a risk of collateral damage, whereas the taser's a bit more selective.
True.
But
yes.
when all's said and done, if you're going to have an argument with someone, the police very rarely come out singularly.
No.
They tend to be rather athletic because they're carrying a lot of kit these days with the body armour and so forth. And I wouldn't argue with someone with a taser and a machine gun, even if I thought I was right.
Indeed, you just think, all right, sir, we'll discuss this in the terminal, shall we?
Because in the eyes of most people, when the police turn up, there's only going to be one outcome, and you're going to comply.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Tony in the chat room says, "Can someone please give Al a beer? He's talking far too much sense."
Quick, panic.
That'll be later on.
Yeah, indeed.
So the next story, moving on, Nev. This one is, I love this story because this has got so much info that you didn't want to know, but really do want to know.
Yeah, so this is on the irishexaminer.com. I'm always surprised about BA's PR department. They must be a bit bored with nothing to do because they have told us or asked us, have you ever imagined how many toilet rolls a Boeing 747 takes into the sky?
I've often wondered that, Nev.
I've barely slept thinking about it.
Please do tell us.
We'll find out as the story goes. And it says quite often, even getting yourself to the airport can be a challenge. Don't we know it? Don't we know it today? Traffic jams, delayed trains, and, okay, a little bit of personal disorganisation could leave your journey hanging in the balance. But planes carry more than just people. So imagine the stress facing airline staff tasked with loading hundreds of bottles, napkins and pretzels onto the aircraft. To give you some idea, British Airways has compiled a list of the 7,000 items which have to be loaded onto flights, such as their Boeing 747 flight from Heathrow to New York JFK. You'll forgive airlines for imposing luggage weight restrictions when you tot up this lot. Are you ready for this? This is the list of all the things they carry.
Is it a top 10?
Yeah.
Not quite. But just think how big a 747 is, and this is what it carries. 5 first aid kits.
5?
Yes.
That seems an odd choice.
It is.
Yeah.
78 toilet rolls.
Only 78?
Yeah, I don't think it's enough. 293 headrest covers, which in emergencies could also be used as a toilet roll, I would imagine. 101...
Little abrasive.
Certainly.
Certainly on the Velcro side.
That's right.
Ooh.
101 full bottles and 388 quarter bottles of wine. 350 bags of pretzels. 800 items of bedding, including fancy white company sheets in Club World. And that's only with the cabin luggage. Down below in the hold, a whole array of items are jiggling around with your suitcases. That would explain a lot, actually. 26% of cargo is made up of priority goods such as fashion products, smartphones or tablets. 5% is specialist cargo, such as live animals or high-value artwork. 4% is perishable produce, such as raspberries from Kenya or lettuces from the US. 3% is temperature-controlled pharmaceuticals and life-saving vaccines. Some of the weirder items carried by BA aircraft this year include cognac from Bordeaux to Kuala Lumpur.
Love a cognac.
Emergency lettuce from Los Angeles in response to the UK's heatwave vegetable shortage.
Emergency lettuce.
Wow.
Nina, Nina, Nina. Hello, I'm a lettuce.
Yeah, I can't imagine somebody being so desperate for lettuce that it has to be. Never mind. Anyway,
And you can buy a lettuce for £7.50 flown in from
really cheap.
Los Angeles. Yeah.
I've always wanted one. Yes.
And Royal Wedding special magazines from the UK to the US. And Al knows a lot about special
magazines. Yes. Yeah. Niche magazines.
So there we are. That was what a fantastic item that was, Carlos. Thank you for.
I must admit, Neil Lamwan in the chat room here has said that he's rather intrigued to know how you decide on 101 bottles.
Good point.
Well, it's in case one breaks.
Yeah. Right, okay. Yeah. Never mind the other 100, of course. But
No, indeed not.
I'm quite happy with those 350 bags of pretzels because I am quite a big lover of the
Oh, you're the one who
pretzel.
eats them, are you?
Oh, I love them.
Oh.
So nice. So moving on to the next story then, and well, this one is on the Breaking Travel News site, and it's supposed to be read
Not the
by...
Breaking Wind news.
Not the Breaking Wind, no. It's a Pip story, but Pip's actually not here. He's busy feeding himself.
Sorry.
Feeding you lot.
I'm sorry.
Oh, he's feeding
I'm
us.
opening the snacks. Sorry, hang on.
There's snack opening going on here.
Talk about noises off.
What's that? I don't know. What with aeroplanes and squeaky something? Oh, never mind. Shut up, Smith.
Are you right there, Pip? Do you want to do this next story, Al?
Al can do it, go on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Al
well-
can do it. There we go,
Whoa.
Al. So, there we go, Al. The next story.
Okay,
The wind is back.
it is. Yeah, sorry about that. I did have curry last night. Okay, so
We know.
this comes from the Breaking Wind website, and Carlos has very kindly put it into an appropriate colour of red to make it even harder to read. Virgin Atlantic calls for improvement at Heathrow border.
I've just come over to say my maths. BT UK maths. Bread and broken. And he gave it to his disciples and he said, each drink.
Only at a PTUK show.
These are a gift from From Barbara, I'm not quite sure what they're.
Thank you.
Chocolate poppadoms. You like?
I like, yeah.
Hey, so what were you saying about Heathrow and?
There's a number of international visitors to the UK waiting more than 2 hours to clear immigration continues to increase.
Is there? Right.
Does anyone need a recap?
So they're on about queues at Heathrow Airport now.
Or if you're American Lines.
Lines, yeah.
Yeah. Something not to be confused with the Dutch line, which is something completely different.
Moving swiftly on.
New figures reveal the force missed its target of a 45-minute wait or less for 95% of visitors from outside the European Economic Area on 30 out of 31 days last month. So in fact that's a pretty poor performance, isn't it? In response, Virgin is calling for urgent action to reduce the waiting times and extend the welcome visitors deserve. Recent high-profile events such as the royal wedding, when was that then, and the favourable exchange rate have contributed to an increase in international visits in 2018, and coupled with an under-resourced border force has led to excessively long queue times at immigration, the airline argues. How does your pad work?
Actually, while you're Neil Amwarn asked, by the way, the real question is how many chicken nuggets can you fit into a purple A321?
Ooh, probably about 1 million, I would have thought.
1 million? Wow.
I would have thought so. I mean,
Only 1 million.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably get some guru in the chat room to work out how many cubic metres of space there is.
Somebody go and buy a box of chicken McNuggets, measure them, and then you can compare that with it. No, shut up.
Anyway, moving back to the aviation.
So back to the story then. So the longest queue time occurred on July 6th. Now, can anyone speculate as to what the queue time was at immigration in the UK on July 6th? Bear in mind that the target is 45 minutes.
2.5 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say 2.25 hours.
Yeah.
2.5 hours. Those of you who've not read the story, any other guesses? So the longest queue time occurred on July 6th when non-EEA visitors spent up to 2 hours and 36 minutes waiting in immigration queues.
Wow.
Craig Krieger, chief executive of Virgin Atlantic, said, "This summer, significant queues at border control mean that thousands of visitors have faced 2-hour queues to get their passports checked, leaving them frustrated before they've even started their trip." He added, "We all agree that security and safety at our airports is vital and remains our top priority, but other countries are managing their borders more effectively." At a time when the UK needs to show the world it's open for business, the government and border force need to provide a great first impression for every visitor every time. British Airways chief executive Alex Cruz, famous for his high-vis jackets, made a similar call last week. The government said it's deploying 200 extra staff to Heathrow this summer to combat the queues.
Oh, is that it?
That's
I
it,
thought you
yeah.
were carrying on.
Somebody's watching on their phone.
Yes, I think it's actually Carlos's laptop.
Is
for what
it?
It's worth.
Right, okay. Yeah, fair enough.
No, I'm not watching my phone. I've just indulged there in what Al was saying.
So, well, I can hear it.
Yes,
the
I
stream
can hear
coming
the
back to
echo
my
as well.
yeah.
It's definitely a device that has the volume turned on, Carlos.
Not me.
Yeah, it's your laptop.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyways, terribly professional.
That says mute. Yeah,
So
that turns the volume off.
Moving back to the story.
Yeah.
Are you
Delays.
familiar with audio?
Yeah. Familiar with delays as well at passport control.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's normally at Heathrow or Gatwick,
Yeah.
to be fair. Never had that problem at Southend Airport, I will say. Just on that note.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
No queues there at all.
Very good.
Are there planes there, though?
There are actually planes there, yeah.
Not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not enough, yeah. We need more there. So moving on to the
I have
next...
to say, has someone let one go here? Because there's a heck of a smell just drifted in.
It's one of the delights of living here in the countryside, I'm afraid, is that muck spreading is a regular thing.
Yeah, and I can see it taking place over there.
Yes,
there we
indeed, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and I know we need a wide shot of the muck spreading, okay? 'Cause
Right,
it's
okay.
Part of, are we in Norfolk or Suffolk?
You're in Norfolk here. Yes,
Right,
yeah.
okay. So that's genuine Norfolk chicken crap
There we go.
going out
Yeah,
of the back
being
of that thing.
spat
then,
out
is
the
it?
back of the machine as we speak, which is always good. Lovely.
So
Nice camera work there, Armando. I'm very impressed.
Are we actually getting the muck flying out of the back of it? We're getting good imagery of the slurry.
We might catch it on the.
We're not catching any of that. I'll tell you that now. What you do out here is, as a hobby, is entirely up to you. But
it's the weekend.
Those of us who live in civilised parts of the world with electricity and
this
and
coming from a
internet,
man who lives in Wales. Good.
I don't.
Excellent. Okay. It was worth a try. All right.
30-15.
New balls.
Yeah. Again, what you do in your own time. Anyway, family show moving on. Someone please help. Oh.
Right, moving on to the next story. This one is on the breaking news, or breaking travel news again. This one. One especially for the Airbus lovers here. In the,
hey.
Hey. Airbus.
Oh, did you just... Oh, well done, Carter.
Airbus prepares first ACJ 320 Neo for takeoff with Acropolis Aviation. So this is a posh Airbus.
It is, yeah.
The first A320
got
Neo
gold knobs and
ACJ,
everything.
I know, has been assembled and fitted with
Can't beat a
CFM
gold knob, can
International
you?
LEAP
You can
International
polish it every day.
1A engines and painted in ACJ
You
house
polish your
colours.
knobs.
Oh God! Someone turn his mic off. Honestly, after delivery to Acropolis Aviation of the UK, the last quarter of this year, the aircraft will enter
Are you trying to wind me?
I know. Outfitting the interiors at AMAC in Basel, Switzerland.
It's, descended
where
into chaos.
Alberto Pinto designed cabins will be installed and painted into the customer's colours. Unlike the standard A320, this one has got the business posh interior and stuff. This aircraft's also going to have obviously the new generation engines, the LEAP engines, and also the Sharklets, which will save around 15% in fuel and deliver a leap forward in intercontinental range. The resulting ACJ 320 Neo is going to be able to fly 25 passengers, that's it, 11,000 kilometres, or a route flying 13 hours, such as London to Beijing or Cape Town and Moscow to Los Angeles, while the ACJ 319 Neo can fly 8 passengers, 12,500 kilometres or 15-hour flights, featuring the widest and tallest cabins of any large jet. The ACJ 320 Neo offers similar operating costs and a better residual value while being about the same size. Orders for the ACJ 320 Neo stand at 9 aircraft. I'm not surprised because I don't expect they're very cheap. Comprising of 3
Depends what spec knobs you
A319.
go for, doesn't it?
I know, and A320-19 and 6 ACJ 320 Neo aircraft. This is one of those aircraft I think I could see you trotting around the globe in Nev. Obviously, the executive version of the A320.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all. That would suit my style of travelling very nicely.
I'd say 25 passengers. That would be okay.
Well,
for me.
A320?
That's 23 more than I would want, really.
Who's the other one, though, Nav?
Yeah.
So, Matt, the next story on Flight Global.
Yeah, this
Is that all the time Airbus gets in?
Yeah,
in this
that's
show?
it. Yeah. Yeah, but you'll like the next story, Al. Trust me, you'll love the next story.
Right, okay, so no injuries. Apparently, this is on the Flight Global. No injuries during, is it Zeman? No?
Yemen.
Shaman.
Yeah.
Shame. Yemen Airlines.
Shaman.
Shame on you.
Shaman.
All right, just go with what Al says.
Okay, all right. So no injuries during Shaman
I owe
737.
50p anyway, so 50p Carl Astor, it's Shaman.
All right, okay. We'll put it in the Google Translate later.
Okay, all right. So no injuries during.
No, we need the correct answer, not just some sort of rubbish that.
What are you talking about?
I don't know what's going
What
on.
do you know about
XIAMEN.
You would do.
Yeah, actually. So no injury. Anyway, Flight Global is the website, and the headline is "No injuries during Shaman 737 runway excursion." As you do, no passengers or crew were injured when a Shaman Airlines Boeing 737-800 suffered an apparent runway excursion at Manila on the 16th of August. The airline confirms all 157 passengers and 8 crew on the aircraft evacuated safely, the carrier says in a social media post. The incident occurred as Flight 8667 from Shaman landed in Manila on the... hang on, we're going to interrupt this. Hang on, I'm just going to move to a much more interesting image. There we are. Look,
Oh,
that's the
bit of,
little
Mustang.
Mustang
Yeah, bit
action.
of Mustang
firing
action.
Up. Yeah,
Have
absolutely.
we got
So
Mustang Sally ready to play?
no,
No.
we're not that clever. So it's royalties thing. We're not allowed. The incident occurred as flight 8667 from Shaman landed in Manila at 23:55 local time. Shaman says pilots of the aircraft registration Bravo 5498 and Mike Sierra November 37574 circled above Manila repeatedly prior to attempting to land, according to Flight Global's flight tracking site flightstats.com. The 737-800 exited the runway while landing, coming to rest on its belly and apparently losing the left side engine in the process, according to photographs and reports. The crew carried out an emergency evacuation, Shaman says. The 737 was delivered to brand new to them back in 2010. Flight Fleet's analyzer shows. Ooh, we might actually catch it taking off in a minute. Which way did they take off here?
They should take off.
Yeah, so
towards us
left
this
to
way.
right as you look ahead.
Yeah, okay, very
We
cool.
settle this argument here.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
There we go,
Okay.
that'll do. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, we'll
You're
take
close.
it. Yeah, Shaman it is then.
Shaman.
There we are.
Shaman.
Duly noted.
Shamal.
Okay.
Michael Jackson.
Anyway, yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's one of our awesome friends of the show, Alan Bales, with the Mustang, now heading back home.
Where's he
And,
based, Carlos?
He is out towards Cranfield.
Oh,
way.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's
But,
where?
out towards Cranfield way.
Oh, that's where I came from.
Yeah. He's going to head back home, and yeah, thanks for coming, Alan. It's been good to see you. It's a lovely aircraft.
Mm,
When you
beautiful.
guys are great,
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
fantastic.
So you're saying it's not a P51, is it?
It's a T. It's like it's a Mustang replica. It's a so many scale replica of the Mustang. That's it. Yeah, Armando's got it. So it's kind of built to look exactly the same, but it's slightly shorter. If you sort of
Right.
put the Mustang, the actual P51 alongside the Mustang, the P51 is slightly longer than that. But
It's got a much smaller engine as well, which I
yes,
think you
it's
probably
not got
hear
the
it's
same
not
engine,
quite,
yeah,
I think it's
as
just got a-
P51, but it's still a stunning aircraft. So.
But
Yeah,
it did
really
come
lovely.
fitted with a fit bird in the back.
He did look
Trust
the
you
part,
to
didn't he? With his
notice.
sunglasses
Right.
on and he
Trust
pulled up
him to
looking
notice.
cool with an attractive girl in the back.
There's
Alan, if you're listening,
all a
we
bit
apologise. So the next,
Whereas, I mean,
I don't apologise, that was a compliment.
I know,
like I say,
honestly,
man, you turned up with two fit birds today, didn't you?
Yeah, but I didn't do it in a
Ah.
P51 Mustang, did I? I did it in a, well, that thing over there.
yeah, that thing over there. Yes.
Anyway,
The
moving
green
on
Green
machine.
flying machine, yeah.
to the next story, and who's this? This is you.
Yeah,
Nev, isn't it? Yeah.
another tale of
Another tale of
aircraft
Whoa.
damage.
dear.
Ladies and gentlemen, can you not keep dinging your aircraft on the ground? This is about the
Absolutely.
third story this week there's been of this sort of behaviour. And this is all about the Cathay Pacific 777-300ER, which was severely damaged in an incident at Rome Fiumicino Airport on 15th of August.
No one noticed, Carlos.
I know.
Carry on, Nev.
Yeah.
Hello. There's a
Pip's playing with his equipment again.
Well, no change there.
It's gone a bit droopy.
Ah.
Oh, I can't get
Keep
it up.
working at
Can't
it.
get it up. There we go.
There we go.
Back to the story. Data from Flight Radar 24 shows that the aircraft is registered as Bravo Kilo Papa Yankee, MSN 37899, and the carrier tells Flight Global that the aircraft was scheduled to operate the flight CX293 bound for Hong Kong at 13:05 local time. Images on social media show that the right wingtip of the 777-300ER was lodged into a floodlight pole and clearly damaged. I think he's done quite a neat job of it, actually. But the incident occurred when the aircraft was being towed by a ground handling agent's truck. Flight Fleet's analyzer shows that Bravo Kilo Papa Yankee is of 2012 vintage. It's owned and managed by Cathay. Absolutely irrelevant to the story, but they had to just
Gotta-
lob
gotta
that in.
chip that in,
at
yeah.
the end.
Who's the
do.
official toilet roll supplier for
Good
Uh,
point.
they've-
Good point.
they've-
Very important data.
Yeah,
Yeah.
left it out.
Yeah, indeed.
Haven't thought it
How
through.
rude.
But yes, so many pilots I speak to, yeah, actually the most dangerous bit is probably taxiing the aircraft around on the apron, or having someone run into you with a baggage cart or something. That's
Right,
So
as
there
you
What,
do.
what I haven't worked out yet is, did this happen during pushback, or was this when they were just towing the aircraft around the
I
airport?
think they were towing the aircraft around, from what
Right.
the story says, Al. Yeah.
Okay.
It looks a bit, it's quite a nice bit of damage there, though. I
Oh,
must
yes.
say. It's,
Yeah.
good ding that.
Uh,
Yeah, thank you, Pete. So basically, what we've sort of like come up to the point of with this show today is that basically airlines need tail cams, winglet cams, nose cams. Any other cams?
Well, what about just something that goes, this aircraft is reversing, this aircraft is reversing?
Yeah, I think that would work. Yeah, indeed.
So the last story in the commercial segment this week, it's a top. What are we on here? Top 30 or is it 4? No, top 40.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask Nev to bring the fader down a bit so that because obviously we're top 40. Did you say
14?
Oh,
1-4. Top 14.
Wow.
No, we're not doing the UK top 40. This particular one is on the travelandleisure.com website, and it's the oldest airlines in the world that are still flying today. So not so long after the Wright brothers' first flight on the beaches of Kitty Hawk in 1903, commercial airlines began forming around the world. The very first would be over 100 years old now if they were still around. However, there are still some airlines still flying today that are well into their 90s and still going strong. So by contrast, the airline we know as Delta used to be called Huff Deland Dusters, believe it or not. And they've put together here a list of the 14 oldest airlines still in service in the world. So we're going to start.
And it's a top 14. Is
top
that correct?
14.
Right,
Yes,
okay.
we're doing a top 14.
So here we go then. Bring it right up, Nev.
No.
It's not working.
Yeah, we've got no music
dear.
at all. That's good.
That's not a good sign, is it? Hang on. I've worked out what it is. Yeah. Hang on. I'm going to make it work if it kills me. There we go.
That's what I said to the wife.
So we'll kick off then. Actually, you can go first, Pip. There we go.
Ooh, so in at number 40.
Okay, it's Cubana. Cuba's national carrier began a charter service and flying school, but launched scheduled flights around the island in 1930, although it says 1929 up there.
And it is number 13.
Wow.
Number 13, it's LATAM, founded in the March the 5th, 1929. It's the airline of Chile.
It's number 12.
At number 12, it's Hululuakaleli. It's Hawaiian Airlines. Founded in January the 30th, 1929. Thanks, Al.
It's number 11.
And number 11 is LOT Polish Airlines, founded on January the 1st, 1929 in Poland.
Slipping into more familiar territory, it's number 10.
Pip?
Shall I do that one?
Yeah, you do it.
Okay.
Matt's busy.
In at number 10, it's the Spaniards with Iberia Airlines, started June 28th, 1927.
It's number 9.
Yes, plain Pippers, it's Air Serbia, started operations in 1927, and can you guess what? They are the national airline of Serbia.
Very good. It's number 8.
At number 8, it's Tajik Air, or Tajik. Tragic Air. Founded in September 3rd, 1924. Country of base is Tajikistan.
Oh, it's at number 8, is it?
Number 7.
Number 7.
I'm so pleased I got this one. It's the airline you love to hate. They're rubbish, they're garbage, they're crap. It's Delta Airlines.
Right, okay, number 6.
Number 6, hot pickers, it's Finnair, the airline from Finland.
And when were they formed? Look, what year?
Well, I've got my
He hasn't got his glasses on, he can't read that.
1923.
1923, that's right. From Finland.
Thank you.
Finnair.
Very good. And it is number 5.
Number 5.
It's Czech Airlines. They were formed on October the 6th, 1923.
I'm going to go. So I do it from Bullseye and I love it. In 4.
It's those pesky Russians. March 17th, 1923, and Aeroflot.
In 3.
Oh, it's your good friend Skippy down under. It's Qantas, November the 16th, 1920.
In 2.
Number 2, it's Avianca. December the 5th, 1919.
That's not rhyming slang, folks.
And Bully special prize.
Oh, the oldest airline ever.
Well, and it's very appropriate that Smiler is here because the oldest airline is KLM, formed on October the 7th, 1919 in the Netherlands.
And Myla can tell us what KLM stands for.
Koninklijke Luchtvaartmaatschappij.
Which is why she said it and I didn't.
Say what? Say what now?
That's Dutch for I left my
Koninklijke
phone in the service
Luchtvaartmaatschappij.
station.
Yeah, it's a great score in Scrabble, but that's about it.
Yeah, absolutely. How would you spell that? I mean,
Bit of a mouthful there, Myla.
Indeed. Careful, family show.
That's what she said.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, good. Lovely.
Anyway, so that brings the commercial news segment to a close. So we're going to hand things over to Nev for this next particular segment of the show.
Just
then,
before
to
we do
introduce-
that, is there any military?
No.
No.
Okay, well, can I do some military?
What?
Because our good friend Jonathan Warner can't be here today. He's had to go to God's country, Wales.
Right.
And so I just thought we'd do just a little impromptu military story.
Okay.
I saw one earlier. It was grey. Over to Nev.
Right, thank you. Thanks for that.
That's why these military stories are short.
Poor Armando, he's so hurt by this.
Right.
He's so hurt.
Yeah, it's all right.
So-
He's eating a Mars bar. He's fine. Yeah.
So handing things over to the man that is Nev. So what's coming up next, Mr.
Well,
Man?
there was that Oshkosh show just recently, if you can remember that far back. And I think Al had a great time in Oshkosh. From what
I do
understand.
have some material. I do apologise. It is still sat on an SD card, but I should have a couple of interviews for you in the next couple of years, really.
Good.
So.
Good. Can't wait.
Well, we're not in a rush, anyway.
Yeah.
And to be perfectly honest, I've not even listened back to them to see whether they're any good or not. But I did manage to touch base with one of the Lancaster pilots.
Oh wow.
The Canadian Lancaster chief pilot, who brought the Canadian Lancaster over here recently. I think it was last year, to fly with the BBMF one. And I also caught up with Mikey from the Ice Pilot show. So I had a little chat with him.
Did you meet him?
I did, yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's a fantastic guy. So I've got a little interview with him, and he doesn't know it yet, but Nev's going to edit those interviews, and then they'll be available for the show.
Oh, brilliant.
Yes, I'm sure that's quite a large task.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of
Anyway,
ice cream vendors.
Yes.
But, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Oshkosh, and our good friend Glen Towler went there, took a very long flight from New Zealand, as he's done, I think, for the last 6 or 7
Yeah,
years.
he
now.
does it every
Has
time,
anyone
doesn't he?
else apart from me met Glenn?
No, I think.
What I would like to say is that he is an absolute fantastic guy. And if there is a party taking place with free alcohol or free pizzas,
Right.
Glenn knows about it and he will get you in.
Cool.
And he knows everybody at Oshkosh, and everybody seems to know him.
Wow,
So
how cool is
if we
that?
do end up going to Oshkosh next year, he will be our party planner.
Right. Okay.
For sure.
I like it.
Good
Very
news.
good.
Well, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
absolutely.
Anyway, I caught up with him earlier on this week and had a chat with him about his trip to Oshkosh. Hello and welcome to another Nev's Passenger Experience segment. Well, this week I'm speaking with long-time listener of Plain Talking UK, Glen Towler. Glen lives in Wellington, New Zealand, and every year since 2012 he's made the massively long trip over to the EAA Air Adventure Show at Oshkosh in Wisconsin. This year was no exception, and I caught up with him after he had returned home. I began by asking Glen how his trip began.
Oh, I left Wellington in about lunchtime, I think it was. Yeah, basically what happened, I always book my flights well in advance. I booked it in February. And at that time, premium economy and economy were very close in price. I was like, okay, I've never done premium economy. Why not? And then it turned out it was a 787, which was
nice.
very nice.
Yeah.
So I do like the big windows on those aircraft. So the first flight was an A320 from Wellington to Auckland, and I managed to get seat 1A, which was, as you know, a very nice seat.
It's the place to be, isn't it?
It is. Everyone has to sit in 1A at least once. So yes, I got onto the aircraft. It's always nice to be. There was a bit of a delay. The aircraft was delay coming out of Sydney because they're short of 787s. At the moment, so due to the Trent engine issue. But anyway, eventually we took off. First thing they do is hand out like hot towels and stuff, which was very nice. And then, the seats are pretty. I think it's only 3 to free in premium economy, so 2 people can. I was up in a window seat, of course. Yeah, that's been a geek I am. So yeah, they hand out hot towels just almost straight away, and then they give out. For some reason they didn't give out bubbles or orange juice like they did on the flight back. But anyway, the food was pretty awesome, much nicer than taking it down the back. I've done the Houston route before a couple of years ago, and in economy, in what they call the preferred economy seat, which is good leg room. It's a 777-200. Yeah, the food was just tremendous. We did get business class food in premium economy, so it was really good. And then I actually slept some of the way, which is unusual for me. Normally I stay awake for the whole flight, but somehow I guess it was because it was just so nice and pretty quiet too up in the old 787s compared to the 777s. And yeah, the thing that strikes you most is the size of those windows. They are just huge compared to the old 777s.
Yeah, I certainly found when I went on the 787 to Washington last year, it made a huge difference in terms of how you feel, at the end of it. And did you find that the reduced cabin altitude helped you with a little bit of the jet lag later on?
I don't really know. No, I don't think it did. I was still waking up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, so most nights. I think my mind was, I think it's something to do with thinking, I've got so many things I need to do, and my mind was never shutting down and saying, go to sleep. But I think sleeping on the way over wasn't a bad move, I suppose, but I just couldn't stay awake.
Sure. And how long was the flight? The long haul?
13 and a half, I think, on the way over. Because we have a tailwind, I think we have a slight tailwind on going over. We were an hour late getting in due to the delays and stuff, but coming over the Gulf of Mexico was interestingly huge clouds, the huge thunderstorms must have had there, because being summer, the hot air rising and these huge clouds, it's really quite lovely views out of the window of these great big clouds. So yeah, which is always a nice thing to see.
Oh, great.
So we got in about lunchtime, I think. Trying to think what time we arrived. No, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that's right. Yeah, so it's 4 in the afternoon.
Yeah, they've certainly done a nice job on that 787, haven't they? It's a very comfortable machine, and it's just such a pity they've got all these engine problems at the moment. But I'm sure they'll get them resolved. But I really rate it. I was very impressed with the general cabin noise. It was a lot quieter than a 777, isn't it?
Yes, I was quite glad I wasn't down the back though, because the seats were quite narrow down the back. It was actually wide seats, and being a tall guy and quite wide in the shoulders, I think I needed a wider seat, so I'm really glad I did go for premium economy. It really was worth the paying the extra for.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of the all the connections and everything, did that all work okay for you?
So what I did was I did overnight in Houston. I met up with a friend of mine from Twitter who I'd met the previous time I'd been to Houston, so he's a very nice guy. And he went out for barbecue, so that was very nice. And we sat and talked about planes, of course, and he gave me a lift to the hotel, and that was all good. And there's a nice hotel near Hobby, the other Houston airport, because I was flying Southwest the next morning, which was one of my personal favourite American airlines.
Yeah, everything is good. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people like flying Southwest, don't they? Yeah, it's good.
But they're so honest. Everything is included in the price, except Wi-Fi, and that's $8. And it's like, that's absolutely fine if you want to use Wi-Fi. If you don't, then it's good. And then 2 check bags, a carry-on bag. And if you pay $16, you're one of the first ones on the plane, so you get to choose a seat. And of course, as I said before, I got one A again. Like, great. Yeah. What time of it? They said seat's empty. Quick, grab it. So right by the window. So it's not very nice.
Now Oshkosh itself is near Wisconsin, isn't it? So how did you get there from?
So then I went to Atlanta. Flew from Houston to Atlanta. Stayed for a few days in Atlanta. Met up with a guy who works for Delta Tech Ops, so he did me a tour of Delta Tech Ops. I also met a good friend of mine called Sylvester Pittman, who does the Airline Guys website too. So he's a good friend of mine. I met him. He came over to Wellington a couple of years ago. Then I came and visited him, and he saw him at the Delta Museum in Atlanta. So he works at Delta as a consultant, but he also works at the museum. So had a very nice dinner with him. So it was every night. I pretty much met up with someone every night. I mean, I met up with Dispatcher Mike, of course, at his mansion.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was another night. We went to after Delta Tech Ops. It was Harold Robbins, I think it's called, Aircraft Museum, which is in Atlanta. So Mike said, "You've got to go in there." So I said, "Yep, I'll do that." And it's turned out to be a very nice museum as well. All the aircraft are outside, but also quite a few aircraft are inside as well. So SR-71, U-2, all kinds of good aircraft. KC-97, where no one knows what this is, and C-123, which is always a interesting looking. One of the first double-deckers.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, first double-decker aircraft, as far as I can work out.
Oh, brilliant.
So, yeah, lots of photos.
Yeah, so it sounds though, rather than just try and do it all in one hit, at least you broke up the journey a little bit on the way there, which makes it a little bit more manageable, I guess, doesn't it?
I always do. I always like to go somewhere else before I go to Oshkosh, because you could go there I could just go straight into Chicago, go straight to Oshkosh, and then you spend a week. But I think, take 2 weeks, do some other things, meet other people, and get to see cool things. So I was at Atlanta last year as well. So of course, met up with Mike.
What about the journey back? Was that as good as well?
Yes, the flight back was good. I basically did in the reverse. So it was midway to Houston, and the flight was dead on time, which was the first. I'd flown a few times, and the first time it was actually dead on time, which was nice. That was a perfectly normal flight going in from Hobby to Atlanta. Sorry, Atlanta to Hobby, the other way around. Landed in Hobby about 10 o'clock, got an Uber to the hotel. It turned out to be a very nice hotel, and got a good night. I tried to get a good night's sleep, but yeah, that was, did get a pretty good night's sleep, actually was. And then just basically hung out at Houston Airport most of the day, because the check-in wasn't until 6 o'clock at night, and the check-out was 10 o'clock, so I had to spend all the time hanging around in Houston, which was not a bad airport to hang out in.
That's right, yeah. Oh, that's good, yeah, well, brilliant. And how long did it take you to recover by the time you got back home, would you say?
3 or 4 days, I think, before I managed to get over the jet lag.
Yeah.
I was managing to go to work. I get up at 5 o'clock to go to work, so I'm getting up pretty early, but say by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I just wanted to go to sleep. I was so tired, so I had a nap, and then I feel better now, and then go to sleep again, and
it does it too, doesn't it? There's no real cure for it. You've just sort of got to go through the pain of it all. But brilliant, excellent.
Yeah, the thing with the trip back was I was actually on premium economy, but I put a bid in and actually got it. I put the lowest bid I could possibly get and got premium economy on the way back again. So.
Oh, great, yeah. And that makes such a difference, doesn't it? There's no question about it, yeah.
Yes, this time I was ended up in an aisle seat, and there was no one next to me. So an empty seat right next to me too, so it was good. And I could just get up and walk around whenever I wanted, which was nice.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, tell us about Oshkosh itself. I mean, I've never been. You're a regular visitor, and you've been going there for, what, 6 years now? Something like that?
2012 was the first year I went, and I've been every year since.
Gosh.
Yeah, it's just crazy. First year you go, like when you go there just for a few days, you don't know what's there. And then you realise, oh, yes, I need to do the whole week. And every year since I've been doing the whole week, and yeah, it's just huge. It is by far the biggest air show in the world. Was it this year? It was 600,000 visitors and 10,000 aircraft. The year before it was 500,000 people. So they've added an extra 100,000 visitors this year compared to last. Yeah. So it's just staggering. You can't really know how big it is until you actually go there and see it all. I'm hoping all you guys come over next year, because I know Jeff is trying to get everyone. I mean, Al and all them are saying, look, we've been here now. You want you all to come over, and everyone should come. All the PTUK, APG people should come over and see what it's really like, because it really is amazing. And the number of people I know over there, it's just crazy. The number you just stand there and suddenly you turn around and you know someone. It's like 600,000. It's
it
crazy.
does seem to me, from what I've heard and read, that it is possible to bump into people that you know or people that you've seen before, even with that number of people there.
Oh yeah, quite regular. It happened to be quite often. Not just because knowing people like Mike and everything, and I did some work for Mike's podcast, so of course that got me a media pass, so it was nice. I did. I don't know if you heard Flying in Life podcast, but I did do a first ever interview on that one. So I did 2 interviews, and I did that, and I did a bit of piece about the C-47 ride, which was just something that I've always bucket list thing, and I was really quite surprised when they turned around and said, we can get a seat for you. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, the media accreditation and the media pass thing is a massive win, isn't it? We found that at Farnborough.
Yes.
The access it gave us was unrivaled, and of course where you were in Oshkosh, it couldn't have been better, I guess.
No, it's good. I mean, the things you get to hear and see, and you can go and listen to talks on all kinds of subjects in the media centre. Some more interesting than others. I mean, there's flying cars called the Terrafliga. It's been in development for the last 10 years or something, and they're still developing. It's like, but then they do have one called the Samson Switchblade or something. I think it's Switchblade, and that's apparently coming on. But all this flying car business is, I don't know. It's a fad. I don't know. I mean, even Rolls-Royce jumps in. It's like, really? Seriously? Even a company like Rolls-Royce are bothering us?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now, this is going to be an impossible question to answer, I realise, and I've put you on the spot a bit. If you had to pick one highlight from Oshkosh, what would it have been?
Yeah, I suppose the C-47 ride would have to be right up there.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people say this, don't they, that whilst the aircraft thing is great, and that's why people go, it's all about the community and all about the people and friends that you meet.
Yeah. You meet some great people, like I've read that guy who does those plain silly YouTube videos, Brian Turner. I've been friends with him for a while on Facebook and met him and I was like, oh great, it's so nice to meet someone you see on YouTube. And we had a really good talk because he was like surprised how far I come to be there, because I say I always hold the record for the person who travels the furthest.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Some 11,000 miles.
Yeah, exactly. And it sounds as though the show just gets bigger every year, doesn't it? There seems to be no appetite for capping the numbers of people at all.
Well, they just don't bother to try.
Yeah.
The number of aircraft seems to be getting bigger every year. They're expanding the southern end, because as just Bertram Mike found out, he ended up parking in the next city, or the next town, Fond du Lac, which is the town south of Oshkosh. So he says, I'm not even in Oshkosh, I'm in Fond du Lac, which is the town next door to Oshkosh. Yeah. He says, I'm across the city line. He says, the sign saying, welcome to Fond du Lac.
Wow.
So that's how big it is. But they can't expand northwards because they've got things like the city itself, and there's a road, and then there's the air terminal, and we also got one called Basel, which is where they do DC-free conversions. They turn them in from piston engine to turbine engines, so PT6 engines. So anyway.
Oh, fantastic. Well, it sounds like a superb trip, Glenn, and I'll bet you're very glad you went again. And we'll have to see if we can get some of us out there next year. Perhaps we'll have to have a word with Captain Jeff, see if he'd like to sponsor us all to come over, something like that.
Raid the coffee fund.
That's it. I think we'll have to. We'll probably have to pay a bit more into it before we can raid it. But
yes, I think we'll have to double our. And some people need to just pay some money, because I know it's only like, was it 2% of listeners actually pay into the coffee fund or something? So
is that right? Oh, well,
double it.
Yes, he needs to double it to 4. Needs a bit of a commercial drive on that, I think, doesn't he? So
yes, it does.
All right, Glenn. Well, as always, brilliant to talk to you. Thanks ever so much indeed.
Thank you. No problem. Good to see you, Nev.
Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We are live still at the Seething. Well, we're at Seething, sorry, and it is the PT UK 2018 Fly-In Barbecue. Very exciting. Sat next to me is the legend that is Pilot Pip. Now, you've sent us a segment today, which is very exciting. Do you want to just sort of introduce it, and then we shall play it?
Yes, well, as you know, I send you a segment every single week.
Without fail. Yes, absolutely, of course.
The original PPE.
Yeah. Indeed, what he said.
Yeah, so this is one I recorded just the other night while sitting around in a hotel room. It's just a few of my thoughts on VFR flight planning for the flight across today.
Very cool. Here we go.
Play that funky
Plane
music.
safety from the flight deck with Pilot Pip.
Hi everyone. So it's the Thursday evening before the big PT UK fly-in and summer barbecue at Seething Airfield in Norfolk. And hopefully, weather permitting, I'm going to be flying in there with my PA-28, as are a number of other people. So I've been thinking about planning my flight across, and I thought I might just share with you some of my thought processes here and some of the things I'm looking at. So a bit more of a GA light aircraft section this week. So first thing that I'm looking at will be the weather, of course. Now this is largely out of my hands, but this will be a VFR flight. That means visual flight rules. That means I've got to conduct the flight such that I will remain clear of IFR conditions, remaining clear of cloud, and navigating by way of ground features. I need to remain in sight of the ground at all times. Now, that doesn't mean that I can't use GPS and other ground-based radio facilities, VORs and whatnot, but primarily I need to be able to navigate by reference to the ground. So that means staying clear of cloud. Now, the weather forecast at the moment for Saturday is looking not perfect, but it's probably doable. Looks like there might be some low cloud bases across most of the UK. Hopefully not too low to stop me making the flight. But this will all be almost entirely, in fact, it will be entirely within Class G airspace. And VFR in Class G airspace requires us to just remain clear of cloud. In other classes of airspace, if you're on a VFR flight plan or a VFR flight, you have to maintain certain distances from cloud, so 1,000 feet below and 1,500 meters horizontally. How you're meant to judge 1,000 meters, I've absolutely no idea. But there you go, that's what the rules say. But as long as I remain clear of cloud, then I will remain within the rules of VFR flying for Class G airspace. Now, if you look at an aeronautical chart of the southern UK, it does look at first glance to be fairly complicated with a lot of airspace, particularly around London and the hubs of Luton and Stansted. However, heading from Cranfield, which is where I'll be departing from, out to the northeast up towards the Norfolk area, it's actually pretty clear. There's not an awful lot of airspace to worry about. The base of controlled airspace, the Class A airspace, doesn't start until about 16,500 feet. So that's fine. I'll probably be certainly below 3,000 and perhaps a bit lower than that because of the cloud. I'll need to remain below the cloud layer. However, there is a little bit of airspace around Luton that I need to avoid, and Luton is quite close to Cranfield. It's just to the south, and the Class D airspace that surrounds Luton does extend almost out towards Cranfield. Now, it shouldn't be a big issue because the base of the airspace out there, those northern extremities, doesn't actually start until 4,500 feet upwards, so I should be well below that anyway. But I might want to think about talking to Luton Air Traffic Control and getting some sort of traffic service from them. We do have a facility for VFR flying where we can receive a kind of a pseudo service from them without actually talking to them. We can set a particular squawk on our transponder, which the controllers at Luton or any given air traffic unit will be able to see, and it lets them know that although we're not talking to them, we are listening to them on frequency. So if they need to talk to us, they can just call us up and say, aircraft squawking this code at such a position, come and talk to me because I've got something to tell you. So maybe that's what I'll do as I pass across the north of Luton. Now, as I say, there's not an awful lot of things and obstacles to worry about between Cranfield and Seething, but there are a couple of little bits just to be aware of. So I'll probably be taking off from runway 21 on Saturday morning. It looks like there'll be westerly winds, so 21 at Cranfield will be the one to use, with a left turn heading out towards the east. And the first bit of airspace, almost right next to Cranfield, that I need to have a look at is a danger area 206. all the danger areas in the UK have got a code, Echo Golf, brackets Delta, then a number. Now, I'm using at the moment my little iPad, my company iPad. I have just purchased something called Sky Demon, which is the European version of FlightAware or 4Flight, one of these VFR flight planning tools. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I hear it's extraordinarily good. But for the moment, I'm just using my Jeppesen application on my work iPad, which does have VFR features as well, which is quite good. So if I click on this Delta 206, which is just to the, I think the east side of Bedford, it tells me that this is the Cardington danger area. Now, those of you who live in that part of the country will know this quite well. It's a very prominent land feature, these two great big, absolutely huge hangars, which going back to the war, they used to make airships there. And these days it's used for film sets. I know quite a lot of James Bond films have been made there. And also it's the home to the Airlander, this new airship that they're building. It looks like a big arse. You've probably seen it in the press, in the aviation news. That's where it's based, and I've seen it a few times driving past. So there is a danger area around there. It's only about a mile in diameter, but it extends up to 6,000 feet. So from the ground up to 6,000 feet. So I will need to avoid that. I'll just fly around it. It's not a particularly big area, but it is one just to bear in mind. So I'll probably just skip around to the north of that. And then immediately on the other side of that, we've got Old Warden Airfield, which has an ATZ around it. That's an air traffic zone. Now, although it's still Class G airspace, most airfields do have an ATZ around them, and this is just a little bit of airspace in which they conduct their circuit flying and their local flying. Now, the size and diameter of that ATZ depends upon the size of the runway. Now, I think off the top of my head, if I remember correctly, if the runway is 1,800 meters or more, then the ATZ is 2.5 miles in diameter. If it's less than 1,800 meters runway length, then it's only 2 miles in diameter. But you should avoid the ATZ. Or at the very least, if you're going to cross through the ATZ, then you need to be talking to the local air traffic service there, either the radio or the information guy who's based on the airfield. And that extends from the ground up to 2,000 feet. So you can overflight at 2,001 feet if you like, but probably best to be talking to them. And then also just outside the Old Warden ATZ, we have a gliding site. In fact, there's a number of gliding sites along this route. Now, gliders is something that I want to pay attention to. What dangers do gliders pose? Well, they often don't have radios. Usually they don't have transponders, and they're quite tricky to see. They'll often be very slow moving, and they'll just be circling underneath the clouds. They're quite hard to spot. They're very small aircraft. But also in the gliding site themselves, they're quite often launched by steel cable, almost like a long bungee rope almost, and these cables can extend 2,000 feet up into the air. So the last thing you want to do is fly through one of those cables, because if it comes between a fight between my PA-28 and a steel cable, I'm pretty sure the steel cable's going to win. So I'll certainly be wanting to give gliding sites a fairly wide berth. Now, as I route across here to the east, northeast, I'll be clear of Luton. I might consider talking to Essex Radar, who are responsible for the Stansted arrivals and departures. Again, they might be able to provide me with a basic air traffic service if I wish to have one. Or the other option, I might talk to Cambridge Airfield. Now, that's a reasonably busy radar-equipped airfield en route, and they'll be able to provide a decent service. Using their radar, they can tell me about any other aircraft that are in the vicinity. And the airfield itself I want to avoid, as I will Duxford Airfield, which is just to the south of Cambridge. Again, both of these airfields have ATZs around them, which I'll need to fly over or around. And then the last major piece of airspace that I'm going to encounter on my route over to Seething is something called a MATZ, an MATZ, which is a military air traffic zone. Now, as you'll probably have gathered, there are quite a few military airfields in this part of the world. We've got Marham, we've got Lakenheath, we've got Mildenhall, we've got Watersham as well. There's quite a few, and they have an area around them. As well as their ATZ, which most airfields have, they've also got this MATZ, so military air traffic. Now, a MATZ is a slightly odd duck in the airspace world. It's Class G airspace, and as such, you don't need permission to fly through it. Now, a MATZ zone is established around a military airfield as an area of airspace for the operations there to conduct their approaches and departures. But it's not controlled airspace. Technically, you don't need permission to fly through it. So you could fly right across this mats without talking to anyone. Now, whether that's a good idea or not is another question. I think it would probably be fairly poor airmanship to fly across the approach of any IFR airfield. There might be aircraft conducting ILS approaches, RNAV approaches, departures, etc. So it's probably a good idea, if you are going to cross a MATS zone, to be talking to the air traffic unit there. Usually it's not a problem. Military aerodromes are not particularly busy, especially on a weekend. They tend to have the weekends off. So Lord knows what happens if we ever go to war on a Saturday. We're in big trouble. But passing through my route on Saturday will probably take me just to the south of the combined Mildenhall and Lakenheath mats. So I might just give them a courtesy call just to make sure they've got nothing going on. And then from there, it's a pretty straight run all the way to Seething. There's very little around there. As I say, the base of controlled airspace around there, I think, doesn't start till almost 20,000 feet. And there's almost zero chance of me going up to 20,000 feet in my little unpressurized, unoxygenated PA-28. So no danger of straying into controlled airspace there. The only other sort of major bit of airspace out that way is the Norwich Class D airspace. Norwich Airfield is a reasonably busy airfield, and they've got their own block of Class D airspace around them. That's controlled airspace, so they can control arrivals and departures into Norwich. So I might possibly give them a call, and they can just update me on the traffic situation. Now, hopefully, I'll actually be joining up with Captain Al and Armando in their aeroplanes to do, well, something perhaps a little bit exciting. I'll just keep it under my hat for the time being, but perhaps we would have already talked about it on the podcast, or maybe we're going to talk about it in a second. But hopefully the weather and the cloud base is going to be sufficient to allow us to carry out our plan. I'll say no more. So I've got to say, I'm really looking forward to this weekend at Seething. I really hope the weather's good. I really hope you guys turn out, and I really hope there's an opportunity for us to have a look around each other's aeroplanes, maybe even have a little fly. Certainly eat some great food courtesy of Matt, and maybe even a few adult beverages. Anyway, that's it for this segment. I'll catch you all again another time. Fly safe.
Tell you what, that pilot Pip chap, he's alright, isn't he? He does well.
And despite all of that planning, he made it.
Now. Family show.
Mila's looking very embarrassed. We're going to have to tell everyone, Mila. There's no avoiding that.
You stopped off for a quickie, didn't you, and delayed proceedings?
I wouldn't call that a quickie.
Well, all right, you're building up your part again now, aren't you?
It's quite a longie, to be honest.
Ladies and gentlemen, family show, please. Family show. Okay.
Was he any good?
Right, we're going to talk to the people that I'm ignoring what's going on.
I must be honest, Mila has been smiling the entire afternoon.
Abort, ladies and gentlemen. Danger. Okay. Carlos, are you going to pay attention? Or?
I'm waiting for you.
Right.
You're rambling on as usual. I'm just. Well, we're going to thank.
Saucer of milk, table 5.
We're going to thank. Obviously, we're going to thank Nev for his NPE segment. So thanks for that, Nev.
Yeah, it's great to talk to Glenn about his Oshkosh travels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's definitely one we need to try and get to at some point in the next few years, at least.
I thoroughly recommend it. Never mind the next few years. How about next year?
All right, Bill. Surname Gates.
Seems to be the way the wind's blowing, doesn't it? Oshkosh,
it does,
2019, folks.
And that very nice Captain Jeff said that he'd pay for us all to go.
Oh,
did he?
APG.
Obviously, you have that in
APG.
writing, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, the APG guys, so generous.
Oh,
so
very
generous.
much so.
Anyway.
Yeah. So moving on, we're going to wrap up the show, but we have got a competition, but I don't know whether we're going to. We are going to be able to do the competition. Woohoo! So we're going to do a little quick competition then for everyone who's in the live YouTube chat room.
I don't know if it's going to work on the YouTube chat room because of a certain delay, so I think we should just do it amongst the people that are here.
For the viewers who are here in the studio
so
audience.
What we've done is we've carefully selected a small number of the hundreds and hundreds of people that are turned up here. So the people that you see here are just the ones that are in view of the camera. The thousands are behind you.
Yes, of course. They're behind the fence.
They won't let in.
No, absolutely.
So we have a competition then. So
basically, on the plus side, though, to be fair, it's a little bit more than just David from our 100. David Right, and Sophie, so that's nice. And of course, Paul Tricker was here as well, wasn't it? But he's working. No, it's a birthday party. I think he's attending to. Anyway,
happy birthday.
I'm rambling. Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
So what we have for you to look at then are 10 aircraft, or airline I should say, tail fins of different airlines, and what's happened is they've been transported through the USS Enterprise's transporter and been scrambled.
Right.
And basically you guys watching out there have got to guess what airline these tail fins belong to and what airline they are. Come on. So the first one then, Matt, when you are ready.
There we are.
There we
okay,
go.
so that's the first one.
All right, folks, who do we think that belongs to?
Do I know that one? Is it Air Malta?
Okay.
What do the panel think?
I don't know.
Pip's looking
Do
confused.
you know what Pip
it's
just
a
said?
quiz.
Pip
Okay?
just said Swiss.
Right. Okay.
Hold on.
He read
Swiss.
them as
Hold on,
white.
I gotta do- So Swiss.
Hang on, Barbara's down on her hands and knees. I'm not quite sure what's happening.
Okay. Right.
There's a T in that word.
There is. Air
Yes.
Malta.
Yes,
Now,
you're right.
Is she right?
Well done.
Is she right?
Yes. Okay. Next.
And the reveal?
I'm not that clever.
Right. Okay. So.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me
Sorry.
to do? Hang on. Just talk amongst yourselves for a minute. Hang on.
Oh.
Sorry, I didn't realise you wanted to do the. Oh, it's all very stressful.
In the chat room, Owen obviously knew that one. Ivor knew that one. Neil Lamworn knew that one.
Yeah, that's right. If we spin it out long enough, the time delay won't be relevant. Will it?
So next one then, Matt, when you're ready.
1-0 to the Stebbingses.
Are we doing the reveal, or are we going to number two?
hang on.
Oh.
Sorry, I didn't quite know that. Sorry, I should have thought that's probably how you're going to do it.
That's
But
why I added both pictures to
Well,
them.
that's how we rehearsed it.
Yeah,
when
I
we
know,
did
but
that.
you just sent me. They all came together, mate. It didn't pack it up
let's
into
not-
folders like you promised.
Let's not
me.
complain about that. That's normally a good result.
I don't know what you mean. Right, okay. Let's try. Right, so okay, here we go. We can now do the reveal. There we are. That was clearly worth it, wasn't it?
And there we go. You were right.
Okay,
so
very good.
You've won the car. Okay?
Right, excellent.
Okay,
alrighty.
number two?
Right, okay.
Number
10
two.
of these, you reckon, yeah?
So moving on to
Swiftly.
number 2. Here we go then. So
Okay.
this is number 2.
All right. Who was that? Who was first?
Qantas.
Qantas, we go with Qantas. And the reveal?
Oh God! This is absolutely
The
extraordinary.
chat. Liz Piper said Swiss.
There we go.
Okay.
Swiss, right? Okay.
Richard Adams,
and the winner
Qantas,
was
Tony
Dan
S.
Hannington.
Qantas. Well done.
Okay. Right.
You also win a car. Now, for the
Okay.
speedboat, here's number 3.
It's
There
a
we go.
fully special prize. Right. There we go.
Next one.
British Airways. Now
British,
then, and
yeah.
the reveal.
I'm not bothering with the reveal anymore. It's far too
Yeah,
much.
don't do the
like
reveal. We'll be here all day.
Are we reasonably confident it's British
What are we
Airways?
saying that one is?
Yeah, he knows what the answer is. Let's. Right. Ooh. Look at him with his soundboard over there. What's going on? Okay.
So it was indeed British Airways.
Richard Adams says Korean.
Right. Okay. Very good. Right.
Right.
There's too many buttons to press all at once. Whose idea was to do this? Here we go. Right. Sorry. So
Probably
this.
sounded really simple in the rehearsal.
It
didn't
did.
it?
Yeah. Rehearsal. What's that?
Don't look at your
Okay.
answers,
There we
Pete.
go.
All right.
Next one.
Whoa.
What's the next one?
South African Airways.
Oh, how did you get that?
It's because they're.
And is he right, folks?
Dan?
Is he right?
Very good. Very
Right.
Well
Have we
done,
got
Dan.
anyone?
Even I got this one right in rehearsal. Here
Are you
we
ready,
go.
guys? Here we go.
Right there, yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
there we
that
go.
was-
You see, very good, nice and easy.
It was
Oh,
like a choir.
It was,
They all said it
absolutely.
together.
Let's see if we can stump them with the next one.
yeah. Okay, here we go. Here's the next one. Number 6. This is 4 more to go. Don't worry, chat room.
Not that
Lingus.
fast. Do we think Aer Lingus?
Yes, that would be right. Yes, absolutely. Okay.
Okay, next one.
Okay, number
We're
7.
building up now. Are you an aircraft spotter?
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. There we go. Right, number
Yep, that's
8
the
then.
UAE's
Here we
favourite
go.
airline. There we go. Ah.
Dan Hannington, the absolute legend of Tales.
Yeah,
There we
okay.
go.
Yeah, Dan Hannington's not allowed to answer anymore
Okay.
unless we get stuck.
Dan's-
Okay,
Dan's
Dan
banned.
is now banned. He's frozen out of this round. Here we go. There we go.
Oh, that's it. That's everyone's.
That's everyone stumped, isn't it? Yeah. Anybody got any ideas? No. If nobody knows, then we will go to Dan because he clearly knows the answer.
We've got a difference of opinion on the bench. We've got Barbara with.
Have you missed one, Matt?
Same.
No?
Singapore.
Are you sure?
Airlines.
We're on number 9.
Whoa.
Are we? Okay. Did we do that one of us last just now?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. Keep up, Carlos.
All right.
So we're on number 9. So
any guesses?
So we've got a differing opinion on the bench.
Go on then.
Did the right-hand bench have an opinion?
I've not flown on that.
You've got it's not a quiz called Has Gemma Flown on This Airline? Okay? It's looking at the world's airline, not just the ones you've flown on.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I
All
don't
right.
think they're personal photos. I
All right.
Okay.
Any other
Oh,
different
sorry.
opinion?
Right. Okay.
Right, anyone else?
All right, so we've got either Lufthansa or Singapore Airlines.
Whoever got the Singapore Airlines.
Hey, there we
Singapore
go.
Airlines it was.
Right.
All right, the
okay.
last
So
one is
finally,
favourite airline?
number
The
10. then.
hardest one of the lot. This
Here
is.
we go.
Wow or whiz, which is it to be?
Are you having a whiz or are you having a wow?
I beg your pardon. Family show, ladies and gentlemen. Family show.
What are we saying here then, guys and girls?
Well,
let's have a look at the chat room.
Let's
Have a look
do
at the
a
chat
hands
room.
up then. Hands up if you think it's whiz.
Okay. Everybody thinks it's whiz, basically.
Hands up if you think it's wow. Someone said wow.
Okay, so chat room, we've got Owen in the chat room says it's whiz. Ivan McDonald says he needs a whiz.
Right,
Tony
okay.
S has said whiz. Right, so
Getting a little nervous here,
who hands up who said wow?
Who thinks it's Air Turkmenistan?
Air what?
Right, hands up who said it was whiz.
Yeah, that would be everyone here. Yes, okay. Right, very good.
Well done.
The audience don't really care anymore.
No, absolutely. They've all
Gemma's not flown on them, so she doesn't
No,
care.
no, indeed, absolutely. There we go. So that was lovely, wasn't it?
Well, that went well, I think.
So there are 6 cars and 2 speedboats.
Right, okay.
And they're special prize.
And that's coming out of the
No
Patreon
planes,
fund, is it? Right.
no.
Okay.
I
No,
think we should
no.
do a pitch competition every week that went so.
Seamless, in fact, wasn't it?
I can confirm that our main man Micah said that was a great whiz. He just
Oh,
had.
wow.
He just had.
Okay.
No, it's whiz, not wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Okay. All right then. I'm going to ask Nev to just fade out the music for us so that we
It'd be a
can.
pleasure, yes.
yeah. Okay. So
Need a
it
whiz.
is time. So it's time to start wrapping up, unfortunately. But what we'd like to do, if that's all right, now we've got some lovely people who have very kindly flown in to join us here at the barbecue, and we want to know a little bit about the aircraft involved. So, seeing as he's sat at the table here, maybe we should start with the legend that is Sir Pilot of Pip. And so, what have you flown over here in today?
Something bigger than a Phenom.
Carlos, you'll pay for that.
And faster.
Yeah, I've flown in on clearly the prettiest and fastest of
But
all
of
the
course.
machines here.
Yeah.
Certainly the greenest. Have you got the going green? Going
No,
green?
going
Well, I was
green.
going green. I went green.
Right.
I came in with Barbara, Myla. In my PA-28, my gorgeous Cherokee 150 underpowered, overworked steed over there. Can you see it on the video? What a beaut
There you
she
go.
is.
Yeah,
There we go.
lovely. Yeah, there
Yeah,
we
so
are,
we
look,
came
yeah.
across from Cranfield, a little under an hour flying time. All
More
very nice.
sort
In
of
fact,
avocado colour than green, isn't it?
avocado would be an accurate description, actually.
So
yeah.
have you got something going with fruit and veg by any chance? Because I mean, you have a lemon on your daytime job, and now you've got an avocado.
Yeah,
Right.
there's something
Okay,
up with that, isn't
yes,
there?
yes.
Very nice. Barbara did a lot of the flying. Very good. She
Ooh.
was as well. Yeah. Very
Very
nice.
good.
Very nice.
Yeah, very good. This is what we like to hear. Yes. So the engine, what sort of engine is in it?
Oh, it's a big, pretty engine with
Oil
propeller
running out
on
of
the
it.
front. And
I'm sorry, I was kind of hoping.
yeah. No, it's a Lycoming 150 horsepower.
Ooh.
I think.
Gotta love a horse.
150 horses.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear. Great. Now, obviously, the legend is Captain of Al. So you flew in today in a
I flew in a Piper Arrow 4.
lovely.
Did a
Show
little
off.
detour. Yeah. Did a little detour to pick up Sir Nev and Lady Nev, and
Lady Nav.
Lady Nav.
I could like that. Oh, yeah.
And just managed to fit a quick bacon sandwich in, and then we flew over via Rougham, and we arrived more or less on time.
Don't look at me, Al.
Because, as we know in the aviation world, timing is everything, and professional aviators, we're expected to arrive on time.
Of course, absolutely. Professional ones, of course.
And
absolutely.
indeed at the right airfield, because
I did consider invoking that if you're late, we won't wait. Or if you leave your phone in a motorway service station, we won't wait.
Yes.
Can I just add to that conversation? Mila left her iPhone in the service station, and it was still there when she got back.
Yeah, that's slightly impressive.
Had it been an Android-based phone, it would have definitely been gone.
Well, no,
down the toilet.
No,
absolutely
yeah,
gone, never seen again.
Never to be seen again, yes.
Anyway, moving on.
Yes, okay.
So, so the plan fell apart due to your late arrival at the wrong airfield, didn't it, Pip?
And the wrong service station.
Yeah, you did.
We didn't go to just one service station. We went to two.
Well, I've told you about that
20
before.
miles
you
apart.
do have a distancing order from service station car parks, don't you?
Right, okay, that's frightening. Okay, good. Any other details about your lovely little Piper?
Yes, it's a November registered Piper Arrow 4, 200 horsepower, fuel injected.
Ooh. Fuel injected.
Yeah, we managed to make it on time to the rendezvous airfield to do some formation flying that Pip was due to be part of, that he failed to make.
Right. Okay.
And,
yes. Anyway,
therefore, I hooked up with Armando, who.
Sure, we'll go over here.
That's it.
Hello.
Back up. That's it. Sit. There we are. Look at that. See, he's done this before.
In a non-sexual, in a non-sexual way, formated on me.
Right.
Yeah, quite close actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it. Our PG rating has gone this week. Anyway, moving on.
I just want to say for the record, he's a great flight lead.
Right.
Squadron commander.
Indeed. So, Armando, your little chariot of choice. What are the details?
Well, it's bigger than Pip's. So,
Hey!
PA-28,
no surprise there.
The 180 horsepower. None of these aircraft are tremendously thrilling, but they're nice because hey, we got to fly in here.
True. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I came by car. It's a bit yawn.
Yeah. It did only take us about 12 minutes to get here. Or something
It did, yes.
Wow, really. So would you rendezvoused at? Did you say Rougham
Airfield outside of Bury St Edmunds?
Okay, and it only takes you 12 minutes.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, I could have done it in
Bury
8,
St
but I
Edmunds.
slowed down.
Yeah, he slowed down for
Did
me.
he? Oh, that's nice of him.
Now he
Really?
did. He
Is
did
that
demonstrate.
how long it takes from Bury
He
St
did
Edmunds?
demonstrate the
excuse me,
the massive speed of his arrow because he said, "Hey, you want to play catch up?" And I think he only moved the throttle about an inch and left me in the dust.
Right. Okay.
And I was like, "All right, well that game's over. Let's go back to regular
because
flying."
you were pretty much.
I was maxed out. Yeah, I was maxed out.
Like flat out. Yeah. Okay. Wow. So that's just I can't get over that. 12 minutes from Bury St
There was a
Edmunds
pretty
to
healthy
here.
tailwind coming across here, which helps.
So how
a bit.
how long does it take by road then?
Honestly.
Depends if you get stuck behind a lorry.
Yeah, it depends a little bit on who's driving, I think, as well. Because if I'm driving, it takes an awful lot longer than if anyone else is driving. Yeah, so it's like 40 minutes.
Yeah,
40,
at least
40, 45
yeah.
minutes, I would say.
We're just
By
going to the
road.
chat room quickly.
Yeah.
In the chat room, obviously, because we're talking about who got here first.
Yeah.
Al Owen has said that Al gets the fanfare for the on-time arrival.
Ah, yes.
Now we can't. Obviously, we cannot afford the Ryanair
no, of course not.
fanfare,
No,
which is
no.
obviously famous throughout
Yeah,
the world.
yeah.
But
Actually,
we've got a fanfare.
Excuse me. If we're going to talk about first arrivals.
Oh no, that's the wrong one.
Right. Yeah.
Yep,
I was
it
going to
was.
say, actually, if we're going to talk about arrivals, mate, then the first person to arrive was Ruben over here. Now, because you arrived just after 11, didn't you? If my memory serves.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I was first, so I didn't have an audience for my landing. I am a bit disappointed that Al didn't mention that Pip landed twice.
Oh, I missed that. Yeah.
And we have both of them on video.
Yeah.
Oh no!
I'm looking at Barbara. I'm waiting for her to own up.
Oh dear.
Flying it.
Does that mean
wow.
double the landing fees as well?
I'm just getting my money's worth.
I hope not.
yeah, something like that.
Is that why you went all the way down to the end as well?
That's it. Move on.
I've paid for those 700 metres.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Use
use
every bloody
Use
one of
all
them.
of them. Yeah, absolutely. So Ruben, obviously your little craft. So tell us the details about what you flew in today.
Yes, unfortunately, we do have a collection of Pipers here. So
No, that's not unfortunate at all.
It's a Piper Arrow 3.
Lovely.
Came in from Thurrock, so not exactly a long flight, about 40 minutes.
Lovely. From Thurrock, 40 minutes. I need to like 40 minutes really, all the way from Thurrock. Now that would take me an hour and a half, probably, nearly 2 hours, I would say, by road to get.
Yeah, well, just to put it into sort of perspective, I started off this morning in Liverpool, and I did look to see how long it would take me if I came straight here.
Yeah.
And that was 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Oh goodness, that's really.
Yeah.
It's just when you put it into sort of numbers like that, it's really quite. Yeah.
Now, did the Varies go already? Oh, he's in the hangar.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, long easy.
Yeah, that I think wins the prize for the coolest aircraft to arrive today.
Definitely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, we
that
did
was a
an
beautiful
interview with Dan, and
we did, yeah.
we're going to feature that on an upcoming show. He told us all about the aircraft.
Indeed.
So it's really good. Yeah.
Now, I have to say that Ruben's aeroplane certainly has the smartest paint scheme, and it has the leather. I know that we all like a little bit of leather from time to time.
Well, indeed. So the engine spec on yours, Ruben, what is it?
Oh, it's same, another 200.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, these planes, I mean, they're not special, they're not necessarily thrilling, but they do get around. So that one went to Poland last year and should be going down to Croatia next weekend.
Wow. Ooh. How cool is that? That is, it's just, I need to get into this flying lark, don't I, really?
And here for Dr. Steph is a Cirrus just coming towards us.
Oh, is that? Oh, right. Oh, hang on.
That's what the good doctor flies.
Hang on. Here we go. There we go.
Our cameraman, Armando.
Yeah, Armando's on the case.
He's on the
Is
case.
it Steph come to surprise us?
Yeah.
Is it an N-registered one? It could be Dr. Steph. You never know.
Right. Okay. I doubt that somehow. That's a bit. I think even by her standards, that's a bit of a flight.
There we go. Just for you, Steph. I know you're watching. Steph is watching in the YouTube chat room. So there we go.
Look
Especially
at
for you, Steph. Just taxiing in front of us here.
Oh, she's watching. Shall I drop my pants?
No.
Family show. Anyway, I'm glad we had this chat.
Actually, I forgot to put a belt on this morning, so I'm struggling a bit. Anything could happen.
Oh dear.
Oh, you've got to love some aviation noises.
There we go.
SR22, look.
Wonderful. Okay, so
anyway,
ladies and gents, that is where we need to wrap things up. Yeah. Because we need to be out of here by 6, and we have a lot of packing up to do.
We do. So we're going to say a massive thanks to everyone who's joined us in the YouTube chat room today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and watching the show. It's been great up here. We're going to say, before we finish, we're going to say a massive thanks to everyone here at Seething Airfield here in Norfolk for allowing us to be here and do the show from Seething. It's been a fantastic day here. So massive thanks to everyone at Seething, and also to Dan as well for sorting all that here for us as well today.
Absolutely.
So big thanks to everyone.
While you're mentioning it, actually, they've asked us to say that on Friday the 24th of August, if you are here in the area, they're actually showing Top Gun, would you believe, on a big outdoor cinema screen, which is really quite cool.
Yeah.
So it's by Seething Airfield invite you to join us for a unique open-air cinema experience. Enjoy this classic film, Top Gun, like never before. That is Friday the 24th of August 2018. Ticket price is £10 for adults, accompanied children, and under 16 are free. The ticket price includes a booking fee and car parking. Please bring your own chairs and blankets. No barbecues permitted. There'll be food and drinks on sale on site. Gates open from 7 and the movie starts at 8:30 in the evening. So yes, if you want to come and see Top Gun in the open air, actually, if you get a nice day, that would be really
awesome,
quite cool, actually. To be fair, and obviously I have recently seen Top Gun, so maybe I should
in 3D.
Yeah. We'll gloss over that.
In 3D,
yeah, in 3D, absolutely, yeah. So that's it. But no, that is where we're going to have to bring the show to a close. We'll just audience, please give us a quick wave. Very good, well done. And Carlos, wrap up, please.
Yep, that is where we bring episode number 230 to a close. So thanks to all our guest hosts and hosts who have joined us today. Thanks, everyone. You've been awesome.
Thanks very much. I'd like to thank my wife for allowing me to come out yet again. Because 3 air shows in 3 weeks, and then I said, "Oh, do you mind if I just disappear for a barbecue? I'll be back in a couple of days."
As you do, yeah.
So big thanks to Captain Al's wife.
Yeah,
yes.
indeed.
And that is it then, guys. So don't forget to join us again next week for episode 231, where we will have more footage. I think we've got some more footage to play from Farnborough, haven't we, Nev? To play out, and obviously we'll be playing the footage from today, the interviews we've taken today, which have been really good. They're going to be coming in future shows as well. So that's it then, guys. From me, Carlos, it's a massive goodbye here from Seething Airfield in Norfolk.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Goodbyes.
Bye.